What's up guys, this is Chris here, and today we're going to be giving you something a lot of you have been asking for. I'm going to give you an update on my Shadow 2. A lot of you have been talking about it lately just because I use it for comparisons all the time, but I haven't actually done an update in quite a few years, although I shoot it all the time. And for those of you who follow like shorts and maybe watch the competition training videos and stuff, or maybe check me out on Instagram, which is Honest Outlaw Reviews, I have it on there all the time. And the reason for that is because I still shoot it. That's why we still compare it to lots of things, even though we don't get a lot of updated footage. So over the past couple of weeks, we've been kind of filming some of my training for USPSA matches and stuff like that. So I figured I'd give you an update on the performance of it, how it's doing, and how it compares to some of the other guns that I've tested in similar situations. Also, I'll give you an update on my belt because a lot of people were asking me about that. Now, before we do that though, I do want to mention my Patreon supporters. Thank you very much. You're the biggest supporter of the channel. If you want to support the channel, all you gotta do is go down to the link in the description and sign up. Because of you guys, we give you the most honest gun content on the internet, so we appreciate your help. We also leave a link in the description for a local shelter in Ames, Iowa. It's the YSS. Those kids could really use your help, so please go down to that description and click that link and donate to those kids. Now, let's talk about the Shadow 2. And I want to specify that this is no longer stock. If you guys watch the channel for any length of time, you know I like to tinker with things, so here we go. This started its life as, believe it or not, a CZ Custom Accu Shadow 2. And it still has the Accu Shadow trigger in it, but it actually has a different slide on it now. This is actually a slide from Primer Machine. I got a second one for optics, and my original one is machined by them as well, and it has a bushing on the front. Now, I don't like the bushing, personally. I don't feel like it gives me much better accuracy, and I feel like after like 400 to 1,000 rounds, I don't clean my guns that much, it's really difficult to get the bushing off. So I have to have a special tool to get the bushing off, and I have to really get after it, find that right spot, and get it out. And there ends up being a lot of carbon and stuff on that. So it's kind of it's an actual process. I gotta put it in some vice jaws and actually get after it sometimes, depending on how long I take between cleaning and shooting. So I went with the standard non-bushing slide for my optics version because I knew I was gonna be shooting this one more anyway. And we got this done from Primer Machine. I don't remember, I think I bought this one from Primer Machine. I got my previous one done, and it's different price, obviously. But we have an SRO, a 5 MOA on top of here, and then we have lock grips with my name on them because they look cool. And we got a little bit of Pro Grip on there still. That's the white stuff. I don't actually use that anymore. I got a 2-week stint trying to use Pro Grip, and I found out I don't really like it. So I'm back to just using my same old hands. Extended magazine release that comes with the Shadow 2, and then I have the ambi controls on it. The left side is flush because I don't like it hitting my knuckle when I take it off, and I don't use it with my left hand anyway, so it's no big deal. The extended one on the right, that way I can use it as kind of a gas pedal, and then we have some skateboard tape here as a reference point for my thumb. That way I don't ride my thumb too high or too low. I just like it there, and it reminds me where to put my grip, so I like it. With the Accu Shadow, you get two things generally when you buy it. You get an amazing trigger job, and then you get that Accu bushing, as I said. I like the bushing, but it's not really my cup of tea. However, the trigger is fucking awesome. Coming at about, like, I don't know, it's probably maybe 6 or 7 pounds, double action. It's very, very smooth, as you can see here. And then the single action trigger is 2011-ish, at about 3 pounds or so, which is about the same weight as my XC. Very, very nice on the single action pull. Now, if you're gonna use a Shadow 2 for competition, you have to remember, at least in USPSA, if you're gonna shoot carry optics for production, the first shot is going to be double action, so that double action does matter. So a lot of times you have a tendency to pick targets that are closer because you're gonna be double action to single action, but if you've used it long enough, you don't notice anymore, and it doesn't really matter to you. That being said, people that do use a double single have a tendency to sail the first round, so be aware that you get a lot of pros with this gun, but I would argue that's the one con. Now, it is a steel-framed double single action gun with a 4.8-inch barrel. I often say 4.6, my bad on that. That's actually the Phoenix Redback, which is kind of a Swiss clone of this for the most part, so I kind of get them confused because they're very similar in quality. But still a little bit short of the 5-inch, but it has a huge dust cover on the bottom, so there's very light recoil. The ergonomics of the gun are amazing. You can get very, very high. It has the internal slide rails of the standard CZ75, and it has everything about the CZ75 that you would want and nothing that you don't. I would consider the Accu Shadow 2 to be the gold standard of CZ. I've tried a lot of CZs. I have the TS2. I've got right now the original Tactical Sport that has 65,000 rounds on it. If you guys want to see a review of that, let me know. I actually shoot with a guy who has 65,000 rounds on a CZ, so we're going to test that out later to see what that's like. But I really like the gun overall, there's so many pros, and I'll start with the first one. Accuracy is phenomenal. If you're looking for a production gun that is as accurate as a 2011, here you go. I mean, you can shoot at 100 yards, you can shoot 150 yards. We shot 200 yards with this freaking gun. It's crazy. The trigger is awesome, the barrel is awesome, the sight interface is awesome, the ergonomics are awesome, and everything sets you up for success when it comes to accuracy and speed. That's why the Shadow 2 is the gold standard for competition, really, under, like, you know, open and limited and stuff. If you're not going 2011, if you want to get real good, you usually go with the CZ, and that's because they, in my opinion, are the most reliable and the fastest double single action guns with the best trigger. That heavy weight will help you control the recoil a great deal. The ergonomics will help you control the recoil. The internal slide rails will help you. The low slide mass will help you, and the big dust cover. It's all designed just like a 2011 to be fast and accurate. Now, this is not going to be a gun that you want to carry, because even as configured, we're looking at like 42 ounces, which is the same weight of a 1911. They get a little bit heavier, but I have the slide cuts to lower the reciprocating mass. Now, that doesn't necessarily decrease the recoil, but for me, it kind of speeds up the slide, or at least it makes it even. The slide cuts make the weight even with adding the optic. And the recoil pulse for me feels really good. So I like the lock grips because they add even more texture, and it's just really easy to lock this gun in and shoot really, really fast. But the grip is my personal favorite. I don't get Glock knuckle on it. I can ride the gun really, really high, and you can see I can control all the recoil of the gun, and you can see that the trigger is amazing. The other nice thing about it is double action guns, you can dry fire all day, and you don't have to do anything to the gun, and you can focus on that trigger pull, watch that dot, make sure that dot doesn't move, and do all your dry fire practice. It's easy to practice with this gun. It's got a little bit of a beveled mag well, so the magazines go in really well. The extended magazine release does work really well. However, it does need to be cleaned, as it turned out. It started sticking on me after about 2,000 rounds, and I ended up having to take the gun apart and take that little screw out and clean the magazine release and all that stuff. But hey, guns need maintenance. That was another thing I wanted to mention with the Shadow 2, where, you know, somewhere in the area of 3,000 to 4,000 rounds or something through this gun now, through this particular one. I have several, and we've never had to change any springs or do anything like that. So it's going to continue running, and we'll do another one of these videos by the time I finally break something. But the reliability in these guns have been outstanding. Now, that's one of the nice things about getting on the line and hearing that beeper. You know your gun's going to work. A lot of times when guys get open guns, or they get guns that are kind of tuned for specific ammo, or they don't get the right ammo for their gun, or whatever it might be, I'm not sure what happens with some of the shit shows that I see, but you can see that after they have reliability problems, you're always very hesitant. Like, I had a PDP that I did a lot of customization to, and I had a lot of reliability issues, and for every stage it was like, fuck, I hope this is gonna work, I hope this is gonna work. And you're worried about that instead of actually shooting. Whereas something like the Shadow 2, it's meant for what you're doing, and you're gonna be fine. You're gonna have the reliability enough to be confident, and then you can focus on that speed and accuracy, which you're gonna get a benefit from anyway. Other than that, I would say the cons are just going to be the weight, but that's also a pro for competition. So really the only cons, in my personal opinion, are going to be the weight if you're looking for a do-it-all roll, and the price, obviously, because if you're looking at a PDP, you can get that for like $500 or $600. You can get into a Glock, or a Canic is another great gun with a great trigger that's very reliable. You can get into that for about $600, and you're gonna have to pay double to get the CZ. But what do you get over that? Well, you're gonna get weight, you're gonna get a little better trigger, you're gonna get less recoil, and you're gonna get a stone cold, stupid, reliable, and durable, and proven platform. If you're talking about a competition rig though, you're not just talking about the gun, sadly. We're gonna get into all of it here really quick. So we'll talk about the magazines. Now this is a CZ75 mag. This is a Shadow 2 mag that I put a Terran Tactical base plate on. I have the Terran Tactical base plates on all of my competition mags. I have 12 of these, and the reason is because it gives you enough capacity to run through an entire stage. A lot of stages are 22 rounds, and sometimes you get 21 in the mag and 1 in the tube, so if you don't miss, you don't have to do a reload, and that's kind of nice. I also like them because they're easy to palm. When I grab the magazine out of the magazine carrier, I like to palm my hand on the magazine and put my finger on the front of the mag, pull it out of the magazine, and stick my finger in the magazine well, essentially. That way you don't miss, because a lot of times in competition you are reloading on the move. It's always good to be able to reload on the move because it saves time, because you're already running anyway, and to be able to do that, you should develop a stable platform in order to grab the magazines, and a stable platform on the draw, and all that stuff. Everything should be it's kind of weird because you'll see how to shoot videos, how to reload videos. As long as you're consistent and fast, it doesn't really matter how you do it. Just make sure you do it that way all the time once you get a way that works. So that goes along with my belt system here. As you can see, I'm just still running the Safari Land belt. I went to a cool custom rig, and then I went to a 2-gun match where I had to roll around on it all the time, and it was an absolute fucking disaster. So I went right back to the adjustable rig. So now I can pop the holsters on and off, and I can use the same belt for different guns, which I like a lot. I'm using the T-Rex Arms Mars carriers as well because I've always used those, and I went to some Super Whiz Bang magazine pouches, and I decided I didn't like them because it kind of changed my draw a little bit, and I'm just way faster with these. And in all fairness, these are so low pro to my body that I can run them in 2-gun matches or 3-gun matches or whatever, and they don't fall out, and I can go prone with them and they don't bother me. One of the nice things about having magazine pouches in the front of your body is that it's easier and quicker to get it in the gun. The downside to having a magazine pouch in front of your body is that if you fucking hit the floor going prone really fast, it jams into your belly or your bladder and it hurts like shit. And it's uncomfortable just to lay there while you're shooting. There was actually one stage at a 2-gun match last month where I had these like whiz bang magazine pouches on, and I ended up doing prone, and I was shooting with the rifle with one hand and holding myself up. And after that, I went back to these because they just work for everything, and they're fast and they're cheap and they're just easy to use, and I just like them. So that's why I went with them. And they have tech lock on them, so I can take them on and off as I want. I also have tape on the inside of this as well, so my inner belt will actually fit. I don't know if you guys know how this works, but you put an inner belt through your belt loops, and then you just wrap this around, so you can take it on and off whenever you want, and it's really easy. So that's my competition setup currently. I'm not saying you should do this, I'm just saying that's where I'm at in my life right now. I'm not an absolute expert at competition, although I do shoot with some people who are. But that's just the system that I like the best, and I wanted to show you that, to show you that like some of the most fancy, expensive, expert equipment only works in certain niches that it's meant for. And if you're looking for a system like me, because I don't just shoot USPSA, I shoot lots of cool stuff, and I want to have something that I can use that's consistent throughout all of those, and this is just what I've chosen so far that works. Will I find better stuff? I'm certain I will, but as of right now, this is where I'm at. And as far as guns go, let's get back to the gun. I've been shooting a lot of different types of competition for a long time. I've tried to use the PDP, which I really like, but it's just not quite on the level of the performance of the Shadow 2 on the range. In my opinion, the PDP has a lot of benefits, including it can be used as kind of a do-it-all gun, a home defense gun, and you can carry a PDP because it's very lightweight, and I like that a lot. It's always the same philosophy as a Glock. A Glock's good enough for competition, but you can use it for tactical use, you can use it for concealed carry and all that stuff. Whereas a Shadow 2, sadly, is just a range toy. It's great at the range, but it's not going to be able to be carried comfortably all day because of the size and weight that it is. Whereas you could get a full-size PDP that offers the same amount of grip, same amount of barrel length, but it's gonna be about 15 ounces lighter. So if you're into carrying a full-size gun, sadly I still don't think this is it, because it's literally like carrying a brick of steel on your belly. So that's one thing to keep in mind. I mean, I'm one of those guys that every once in a while carry a full-size 1911, but even a 1911 is lighter than this usually, and it's certainly thinner than this. Again, this is not a gun made for concealed carry. A lot of people ask me about that. I would be, if you shoot this and you want to carry a gun, I would definitely check out the P01. That is often the combination that I do. So I like the P01 because it is a compact aluminum frame version of the CZ75. If you like these update videos, let me know. I kind of got a little off topic here, and I'm ranting a little bit more than I normally do, but I just wanted to stress that the CZ Shadow 2 has been one of the best guns in my arsenal for many years, and it still continues to be. And if I had to pick one competition pistol that wasn't a 2011, it would be this. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help our air local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.